us tonight on jealousy. For when God elevates a man or a woman to the heights that he is now elevating the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we have to expect envy and jealousy, and we have to expect the door to open, and behind that door, plots and plans and machinations for the murder of our minister, which would be the murder of our movement. And so as the Confederates come together, as the weak-hearted, chicken-hearted hypocrites come together and plan to the glory of the enemy to take the life of our leader, as George Bush crawls out of the bush and pulls his puppet Powell out of the bush with him, and the Joint Chiefs of Staff planning the murder of our minister, we want to send a message out tonight, and you should be the first to get that message and carry that message in your mind and in your heart, that if anything happens to Farrakhan, then the whole country and the whole world needs to know that there will come a strong answer from black people and serious consequences from black people. Here he is, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We have come to hear from him tonight. We are not at the White House in Washington, D.C., but we're at the Black House in Chicago, our house. I won't keep you any longer. You came to hear from him. I came to hear from him. Please receive him, our leader, our teacher, our guide, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. My dear brothers and sisters, once again, it's a great pleasure to be here with you. I guess we're moving so fast these days. And here 1 minute and another place the next minute. If it is Allah's will, we'll be in Washington tomorrow. And tomorrow night at, I think it's 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we will be on BET with Bev Smith. It's called Our Voices. And then at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time will be on CNN, Larry King Live. There's so much is happening, and it's happening so fast that our enemies are in trouble and our friends are rejoicing. But I thank Allah over and over again for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and for the guidance and the wisdom that he has given to us, because his wisdom and his guidance makes us triumphant over the enemies of truth. I thank Allah. I hope that you saw part 1 of Mr. Donahue.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It was like New York City. It was so nice, he wanted to do it twice. So after we finished part 1, he said, let's go right on and do part 2. So we were in the studio for a little over 2 hours. And many of those same white people that were screaming and hollering, in the second hour, they got beat up. You know? I refuse to come down off the dignified pedestal that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had placed me on to argue with people who are manifestly ignorant. But Allah had put people in the audience that, you know, could handle that kind of trivia. And it got to be real, it got to be hot. I don't know, as I'm involved, but people say, you know, that part one, we were dancing on the floor, but part two, we dancing on the ceiling. So I got to see that one myself. And the white folk were quite subdued at the end of it, coming up asking for autographs. And so all praise is due to Allah. Now, tonight we wanted to look again at this disease of the heart called envy. It is the most troublesome of all diseases of the heart. It is a disease that once we are afflicted with it, it turns us into devils. It makes one an instant hypocrite, because a hypocrite is one who speaks from the mouth what is not in the heart. And when someone is envious of another, they speak out of the mouth what their hearts do not contain. Envy is such an insidious disease that when it overtakes an individual, they feign love when it's really hate. They feign service and submission when they are looking for a chance to rebel and to strike. It is such a despicable disease of the heart that once we are afflicted with it, it begins to poison the whole bloodstream of our thoughts.
Yes, sir.
And it begins to turn the person inside into a grotesque disfiguration of self. If you've ever seen the movie The Exorcist,
Yes, sir.
when a person can look so sweet and beautiful on the outside, but be so rotten and twisted on the inside.
Yes, sir.
This is what happens to an individual who is afflicted with the disease of envy. One may keep a straight face on the outside because one always has to have a mask when one is envious. And it's a constant mask that the person hides behind until they are uncovered, discovered, and made manifest. Then, when they are made manifest, the ugly, vicious demon that has been hiding on the inside, masking its ugly face with a face of love and brotherhood and sisterhood and kindness, then the real demon comes forward. And the face on the outside becomes the exact manifestation of the inside. Isn't that a horrible thing? Last week we mentioned Saul and David, Cain and Abel. Sunday we talked about the Jews and Paul, and the Jews and Jesus. And we touched upon the Jews and us. Can you imagine a people who have been masquerading in someone else's clothes? And then the someone else that they've been masquerading in the clothes of shows up and claims the garment. Now, when the real wearer of the garment shows up, that means the one that is masquerading in his garment has to take it off and become naked, seen for what he or she really is. So the uncovering is so devastating that they must attack, they must vilify,
Yes, sir.
they must seek the destruction of the object whose place they have been trying
Yes, sir.
to take. Isn't that something?
Yes, sir.
Jesus made a parable of some wicked husbandmen, that a vineyard was let out into their hands. And every now and then, the owner of the vineyard would send someone in to check the produce of the husbandman. Some they beat, some they imprisoned. They didn't even want you to check on their work. If you look like you're getting close to uncovering, discovering, making manifest their fraudulent behavior, then the viciousness in them becomes manifest. And so they beat some, they imprison some. But then the heir to the vineyard shows up. Now you know what an heir is. I'm not talking about A-I-R.
Right.
Talking about H-E-I-R. When the heir to the vineyard shows up, this is the one who's going to possess the vineyard after the wicked husbandmen are dispossessed of the vineyard. Now naturally, they don't want to leave. You know, they've been there, they've enjoyed the fruit that they've been getting. The heir comes, that means he's going to take over the vineyard.
Yes, sir.
They said, no, we're not going to let this happen. So they slay the heir of the vineyard. Kill him. So Jesus asks the Jews, according to the Bible,
That's right.
what will the owner of the vineyard do when he comes? And the Jews answered, saying, he will utterly slay them. And Jesus said, you have spoken.